In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do if-then statements and how to use the Bool type in C++. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is what we've been doing recently. Change the witty label to a witty text widget and get rid of this label. And what I'm going to do is change this to witty text, change this to response, and add it to our widget hierarchy via the app root. And then from there, I'm going to create three variables that are going to be used in our if-then statements. And basically, if-then statements allow you to make decisions in C++. So our first variable is going to be called var1. It's going to be of type string. And we're going to call it variable1. And I need to do one more thing. I need to add another header here, or two more headers. Going to add in our string type. And we also need a string. This allows you to use strings like you use the input-output operator, or object I should say. Going to add in the standard namespace because we need to create some strings in our application. Alright, we created our string variable. Going to create a bool. And we're going to call it is it okay and set it to false. And then we're going to create our string. I'm just going to call it SS. A string again allows you to create strings, and you would create strings just like you would use the cout object in C++. So what I'm going to do here, we're going to use our string, and we're going to use bool alpha. And basically, if I can bring it up here, let me show you why I added that. Actually did a search on Google for the bool alpha, and it's basically a format flag. So instead of you just displaying, if you wanted to display a bool onto the console, it would only display a 0 or 1. But in our case, we actually want to display the actual value of true or false. So in our case, I actually want to display those values. So it is basically a format flag or a manipulator that allows you to display that value onto the console. In our case, we want to display true or false. So we just added it to our string. So we took the manipulator and then we added the actual bool itself. So this would now display false in our string. And then after we've done that, now we need to make some decisions. So let's create our if statement. And basically we're saying if var1 is equal to variable1, and as you can already see, that condition evaluates to true. But if var1 is equal to variable1, we want our response to display this value. So we're going to set the text, add a witty string, and we want to say var1 is selected. And that's basically all we're doing. We're just displaying that value onto the browser window. On the other hand, we want to say, is it okay? The opposite value, and we use the not operator and we say response, and we set the text to response text. And I'll show you why I did what I've done. String. And we could have done this different way, a slew of different ways. And then we want to add an argument because we have our placeholder. So let me show you what I've done here. Basically, we said we want the opposite evaluation of is it okay. Currently, it is false, but we want to say if this is true, we want to display the value of response. We want to set the value of response, but we want to take the previous value of response because we don't want to get rid of that value. Because if we don't take this value that's already been set here, because this evaluates the true, it will get rid of, it'll discard that value and just display this value onto the browser screen. So basically we took the previous value and then we concatenated it with another witty string, created a HTML break tag, and then we said take the value that was in our string, get the string value, and basically now we're saying okay, either display true or false is selected. So let's see what that evaluates to. So let's compile it, or not compile it, run CMake. And actually I have to apologize, I already see I have not saved the project. Kind of did that in haste. Of course that's going to compile. Let's compile it again. Okay, now it has been compiled, and let's see what happens when we refresh the page. No, nothing. Guess I need to slow down a little bit. Okay, Windows is prompting me. I've added our web app. Okay, as you can see, it's showing you that based on our conditions, let me move this out of the way. Variable 1 is selected, so we said if var1 is equal to variable 1, display that value. So there it is, that evaluated to true. Then we say if is okay is the opposite of that value, and we said it was false. And in this case, we want it to be that. It displayed the value as well. And like I said, we took the value from here because this is not going to display yet. It's going to display here. So it's going to take this value right here, and then we're going to concatenate it. We've added a break tag, so that's why you see it is selected on its own line. And then we just said false is selected. So our placeholder, which is from our string, is selected. So that is how you use a couple, we've used a couple of things here in C++. If statements, setting text in witty, using the string and the bool alpha manipulator so that we can actually display either the true or false value onto the browser. And as you can see, we got the value in our placeholder here, and we just displayed our value from our two expressions and displayed them onto the browser screen. So I hope I didn't make that too complicated, but that is it for our tutorial, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye bye.